What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Chill Zone podcast. I'm here with my new co-host Roger and our special guest Dre. So, Roger, now that you're going to be a regular host with me now, tell everybody about yourself, man. What do you do? Like, what do you play? Like, what's going on?
I'm personally, career-wise, I'm a system administrator, so I'm working IT. I play a ton of games. I've got a computer. I've been playing computer games for about, I'd say, 8 years, 10 years now. And I play consoles on and off, mostly the Switch lately. My last real big console was the PS4 and the Xbox One. I haven't really gotten anything past that, but I play everything on computer nowadays.
Okay, okay, not bad, not bad. What are your future plans? Like, do you plan on getting the next gen console?
Just going the 30 series route for NVIDIA cards, trying to upgrade my computer a little bit because I want to really push 4K ray tracing. But I can do ray tracing now just fine. I've been doing it in things like World of Warcraft and a few other things so far, and it looks gorgeous, and it really does make things look lifelike.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I personally have the Series X right now, and it does have ray tracing, and it's I'm playing Assassin's Creed, and you definitely notice it. And I've heard friends that still play on the Xbox One X,
Hmm.
still a good console, but they're like, man, it doesn't really look that good. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? This game looks incredible.
Yeah.
It might be a night and day difference. I haven't really personally seen it on any other console yet, but I think it looks really good with ray tracing. That's the big feature with next gen, honestly.
Yeah, it's the next graphic improvement. We've seen high definition gaming, pushing past 60 frames per second into 144. The next big thing to make graphics look more lifelike, more like watching a movie is going to be ray tracing.
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Um, but yeah, what's going on, Jerry? Introduce yourself to the chat and whatnot.
So, um, well, he's just said my name. So my name's Dre, and I'm an appointment coordinator for a home replacement company. Um, and it's funny because I used to recruit guys that were in IT and system admin when I was doing my last job at Tech Systems. So uh, I'm very familiar with that, and I'm sure they're familiar with with recruiters. So that's a kind of little interesting little tidbit right there. But I'm all sports, man. As you can see, I threw on the jersey real quick just to represent myself a little bit better. Um, that's what I do. I and especially this team right here. I'm burgundy and gold till I die. No matter how bad we are, that's just what I do. Um, but as far as the gaming world, I'm an Xbox guy. I used to be heavy on PlayStation right up until they came out with the Xbox. Right until they came out with the Xbox One,
Mhm.
uh, and I had the Xbox, the original Xbox as well, but I still kind of a PlayStation guy, just for the games that they had. But as I continued to play and grow, um, I'm more of a multiplayer kind of guy, and in my opinion, PlayStation is more suited for individual gaming and story play, and they got a lot of good games, but it's not that many multiplayer games that you can go through with your friends and stuff. And I'm a big proponent of that. That's just what I like to do. I don't like to play by myself. I get kind of bored quickly.
Mhm.
Um, so ever since then, I made the switch over to Xbox and been with Xbox ever since, and got a next gen now, and trying to help other people get their next gen. So that's just what I do. And as far as the type of games, that would be sports. I'm all about sports. I'm all about 2K and Madden. Until the next Madden comes out, I'm strictly 2K right now. I'm trying to be one of the best in the world. That's my goal. Um, I'm usually I'm usually pretty good. I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but I'm usually pretty good at what I do. But there's always room for improvement, and I'm trying to get better and better every day. So that's where my focus is right
But I'd like to touch back on with your whole career and stuff like that. And you were talking about with recruiting. It's funny because I believe Roger, you came in at the state treasury as like a intern, or not intern, like a recruit,
Yep.
and then you got hired on.
I'm actually familiar with his old office. It sounds like TEK Systems, you said? I've dealt with recruiters there before. Yeah. Before I got my job currently where I work, I actually went through and I was a contractor for about a year as an IT contractor. So I've been there, done that, and it's, you know, it's really helpful, and it's quite an enjoyable feeling to be headhunted for what you do.
Yeah, that's the actually that, you know, and that's just how you know he's been contacted with a lot of different people. But that is the term, headhunting. But you know, like you said, it helps a lot of people get their starts into their careers, and they end up staying with that company that we have contracted them to, and they end up staying there and climbing up the ranks in that company and all different types of things. Or it leads you to something else, leads you to another company. It just builds your resume to continue to do what you love to do. So when I was doing that job, it was very fun, and you IT guys take it very seriously, and they usually ask a lot of different questions because there's a lot of different IT jobs. That's something I was telling people that's never going to go away. That's never going to go away is IT. It'll be around forever.
It's only going to become more and more relevant, if anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially as technology evolves and whatnot, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's get on to some of the topics that we wanted to get into cover this week. We're going to start here with topic one. It's definitely a different view on gaming, but I want to talk about the music in gaming. First look I want to look at is how does it make the experience better? I'm going to go to you, Dre, first.
Well, it definitely puts you in the mood to, I like to say, get busy. It just puts you in the mood to lock in. Especially with sporting games, you know, I'm always going to relate stuff back to sporting games and what I play. But if it's a bad soundtrack, you usually go through it and like cut everything out and maybe have like a couple songs rotating, because if you put, you know, like, it needs to be upbeat. How about that? It needs to be upbeat. It needs to be a little bit bouncy, because if you like just slow mellow-tone, you know, songs on there, and you know, it just doesn't really get you in the mood to really go. In my case, it doesn't put you in the mood to ball. It doesn't put you in the mood to go show out on somebody. Right. Like, you need to have a bounce in your step. And the cool part about it is that some games will play the songs through whatever mode you're playing, and it just keeps you in that mode. So, you know, I enjoy it. I think it's very important for gaming. I don't think you could just have a game where there's no music at all. People would end up playing. Music.
Oh, we're losing there a little bit.
Yeah, we're losing you.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Yeah, we got you. We were just losing audio.
I was saying, you know, if you don't have music, it kind of, people would end up playing music in their backgrounds anyway. You know, you need that. I remember back in the old Xbox, where you could actually input your own soundtrack onto the game, and that was really dope. I would hope that they would bring something like that back, but that was really, really cool. And I use that feature a lot, but you know, I think it's vital to any game, not just sports.
No, yeah, we touch on that part. There is, I think Xbox has they have Spotify, and you can play music through your headset, and you can turn the music down from like another game if you want to. It's like it has like a newer built-in feature, which is pretty cool. Because I'll do it with like 2K and stuff. If I get tired of their soundtrack, I'll just throw in a playlist of mine, and I like, I'd rather listen to my music. So that's definitely.
I mean, I like, to that point, I remember I used to play ESPN Madden, ESPN football,
Yeah,
and not only could you put music and let it play, but you could put your tracks into the arena music,
yeah, no,
like
that's good.
during timeouts and things like that. They would play your soundtrack and stuff
That's,
like that. I
that's
just like you connect more to the game.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. Well, what do you think, Roger? How do you think music makes the experience better when you're playing?
Well, so I come from a realm of playing a lot of single player games. I don't get me wrong, I love multiplayer games. I play things like World of Warcraft, for example. But, you know, a game is really underscored mostly by its soundtrack. I think whether it's music or BGM, in any case, a game is really built up by its soundtrack as one of the core three functionalities you need. You need mechanics, you need graphics, and you need and you need music. Without the sounds, it really destroys the game. I feel as though I don't get as good of an experience, but I come from a single player world. Like I look at things like let's talk about Need for Speed, Most Wanted on the PS2, I think it was. Think about how there are songs on there that you can still hear today from playing games like that. You can go on Reddit and you can see all these people and they just talk about how, you know, they reminisce about the days where they could just hop into the car and put on a thing. Or GTA 4, you hopped into a car and you selected one of the radios and you just drove down the road. That's what people did for fun. They literally just cruised through a game listening to the in-game soundtrack. I think, honestly, if you don't have the right music, it really doesn't underscore your point. Things like Dark Souls, you have these soundtracks that they start off one way and in the middle of the soundtrack it just instantly flips on you and something's changed. It really tells a story without you having to read or know that the story is going on. You know what's going to happen next because the music has told you. So honestly, I think music in gaming is one of the most important things to me, and any game in a modern era that doesn't have great music honestly is kind of missing out. Final Fantasy, for example, they literally have full on concerts for the orchestral band. So after a Final Fantasy game was made, they literally took the band that made the orchestral piece on tour and people would buy tickets. They were sold out to see the band that made the music for a game.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's big time.
Yeah.
But now let's get into like could music be improved? Like how could it be improved in games? Like I know Dre kind of touched on like being able to incorporate it, like being able to choose what playlist like plays in the arena or something like that. Bring that kind of feature back. But could music improve, or do you think it's been pretty solid the way it's been?
I mean, yeah, honestly, I think that's probably one of the only things that I would maybe want to incorporate a little bit more is to get back to custom. But I mean, the way that they've been doing it, I think they caught on to the fact that it has to be good. Just from the realm that I come from with 2K, the last couple ones have been sponsored by different people. Like you had Travis Scott pick the playlist. You had LeBron pick the playlist, like different things like that. And then you kind of connect to those guys and you're like, oh, okay, they listen to the same stuff that I listen to. They vibe like I vibe, like that kind of deal. So I think they caught on to that. So I really wouldn't change too much of anything. I think if you're going to add something, then it would probably be the ability to customize the soundtrack. Because like I said, I know sometimes, everybody doesn't listen to the same thing. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to take those out and put what you want to listen to, then you might even have more of a buzz with that. But I think they're doing a really good job with it. And I really wouldn't change anything.
Okay. But yeah, talking about 2K still with music, I do like what they did with the next gen. Like when you become like the mayor of the whatever, like Beast of the East and stuff like that, you can choose what songs play like in your part of the city and stuff. which is pretty cool. But it limits it to one person. So like I think they got to find a way to like maybe have the community to vote on a playlist or something like that to get people more involved. Which is it's a one step in the right way, but I think there's ways that you can make it better.
Yeah, I actually just discovered yesterday that if you check a certain part of the game on your rep, they actually had a voting out for the 50th song that they're going to add to it.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can vote on a particular track now to get added to the game. And I think that's a cool feature. But like I said, I still think there's room in there to customize. I think that's the way that the world is going. Like it's just custom, and people love that feeling of being able to put their own little piece inside of whatever it is that they're doing. So like I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't take anything away. I would just add to it.
Okay. I agree. What's your thoughts, Roger?
So I'm coming from a realm that I don't really play many sports games. So I really, the last time I think I played a sports game was probably back in, I'd say 2010 or earlier. So I don't really have much to add in the way of, playlist, because a lot of the stuff I play, you don't really get to choose your playlist. It's kind of dictated on what you're doing in the game you're in, based on a zone you're in, or based on what part.
How can the music be improved in like the single player aspects? Like, can it be improved? Can the scores be better?
Honestly, I think as long as game companies continue to make scores that become noteworthy or memorable, scores that people will go onto YouTube and just listen to, that's the only way you can succeed in the music. Really, if somebody says, I want to listen to this while I'm not playing the game, I think you've succeeded. I've seen people take tracks from Hyrule Warriors, for example, and put them into a mod in Minecraft to really help enhance the ambience of a single player story that they've done. I've seen people take the music from Hollow Knight and put it into something because the music really underscored a certain tone. When a song can really invoke an emotion, especially in a video game, I think you've already succeeded. Then that's what, for a game to be a 10 out of 10, sound has to be one of the things that matters. And there are games that do it well, and there's games that do it bad. So
no, yeah, I agree. Well, one last thing with the whole music and gaming thing, we're going to name like a game, iconic game that stands out to you that had like really good like music or a score to it. Let's go to you, Roger, first with this one.
One of the ones that I kind of remember is playing on Need for Speed, Most Wanted. The ability to just hear those things in the background. The radio was just so well run. I really liked that. World of Warcraft has a really good soundtrack if you play with ambient music on. A lot of people turn it off, and I think you're missing out sometimes, really. There are a lot of power gamers out there who only care about the end game, and that's fine. But like myself personally, I think without continuing to invest in good music for things like that moving forward, the game loses its appeal to me and to many other casual players.
No, yeah, I agree. What about you, Dre? Any games stick out to you?
Yeah, Roger actually touched on it earlier. GTA, man. GTA is a classic game that's been around for forever, been around since PlayStation. I started playing it on PlayStation. So, but the way that it's evolved, back then they had good songs, and you almost you wouldn't even have known all the songs, but for, like Roger was saying, for what you're doing in the game, it was on point, I would say. But the way that they've evolved it to being able to choose a different radio station, like that's really, really cool when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to listen to one genre of music. You can literally change it to whatever you want and ride around and do whatever. So that's the game that sticks out to me. I've played that, every year, and I continue to play that. So just having the ability to switch it and like Roger said, ride around. Like Me and my friends have literally like just rode around doing nothing, but it's fun. You go up the street and go pick up somebody, pick up your friend that you're playing with, and he's turning your radio station. Like that's really cool too. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey man, don't touch my dial. Like, you know, little stuff like that. It connects you to the real world. It connects you and it makes it feel more and more realistic. So that's the game that stands out to me.
Okay. I'm going to pick Halo. I think Halo did a great job with their score. Like, it's so iconic now that people they know where that song or the songs come from just because of how iconic it was. And I think what Roger was talking about before is music can help tell a story. And I think Halo helps provoke a lot of emotions where it could be very calm music while you're running and whatever. And next, it gets real up tempo and you're just like, uh-oh, I'm about to get into like this crazy battle or something like that, or something bad's about to happen. So like, you definitely know. But I think Halo just sticks out to me when it comes to gaming. And I think that's a way that Halo has been great, was because of the music, honestly, for sure.
I can still hear the sound of it booting up. The menu, everyone can hear it. It's an iconic theme. It's a score that will go down forever. I think it's a really good score.
Heck, I was just on TikTok and someone played it while at church or something like that, and it really just sounded like a church song to them, and people were just like, "Oh, that sounds good."
Yeah,
and,
it's pure ambience.
No, it's definitely nice. But let's move on to our next topic here. We're going to talk about some new game releases, both just have came out and upcoming releases. We're going to talk about Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. I don't know too much, but we're going to go to you to Roger. Tell us about the game a little bit here.
So this is a game that I was kind of really excited for when it first got announced. I actually got a notice because I have YouTube sometimes just on Google Chrome will send notifications, and every time Nintendo goes live, I like to tune in for a few minutes to see if it really interests me. And this was a release that I was really genuinely excited for, and maybe I'm looking at it with jaded glasses, but like it's the story prequel to one of the best Legend of Zelda games I've played, which was Breath of the Wild. It's also the sequel, the technical sequel to the original Hyrule Warriors, which, if you've played the definitive edition or even the regular edition on the Wii U, it was a wonderful game. It took, Samurai Warriors, Dynasty Warriors, those Konami games that the really those fun fighting games where you felt like a god on the battlefield and you ran around killing things. It took that sort of basic combat structure and then put a Legend of Zelda skin on it, and they did a really good job with the first one. The second one, I've played it for probably about 6 hours now. I've completed half of chapter 2 at this point, and I think it's a great game. I think mechanically speaking, it has some issues. I'm missing out on some of the fluidity of it, and also I think that they weren't expecting it to be as graphically or as intensive it was. My Switch will sometimes drop in frame rate, and it kind of feels bad after playing something like the original Hyrule Warriors just a few weeks ago, and it played 60 frames a second. It was seamless. But now this new one, you try to hit buttons and sometimes the game does slow down, and I think that's a real killer for me.
But do you think that that's the game's problem, or you think that's the console problem?
I think that's the original Switch's problem. I think this game was designed with the second generation of Switch in mind. I think maybe it has to show the age of my Switch, but I think it was a little in depth, and it's great. I love it. It's beautiful. They've taken all these different zones that you love so much from Breath of the Wild, and then put them into a Dynasty Warriors style combat game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a great game, but I think there are issues with it, blatant issues. But I can't blame the game itself. I think the developers had lofty goals, and the hardware just can't support it completely.
Yeah, I think so as well, for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. I do have the Switch. You can see it right here, like on my right. sitting there with the red controller. I probably don't touch my Switch as much as I should, but let's move on to another game here that just is coming out soon. Dre, do you know much about Cyberpunk 2077 at all?
No.
No? Okay.
So, like, yeah, man, I told you, man,
I would have for sure thought that game might have been one of them that stoked your interest for sure, but Cyberpunk, man.
To think about it, it's not a multiplayer game, and he said, he's
he's
not a fan of single player games as much, right?
And no, I'm not. Like, just to be frank, I don't play that many of them. I used to before I started connecting with more people that played the game. More of my friends that played the game, and once I connected with people that I grew up with and people that I knew played whatever system it was, I made that switch and I started playing with them. So I had experience playing single player, a while ago. Actually, I had an Xbox and a PlayStation at the same time, and I was playing a lot of the Uncharted games by myself. So, like, I have a little bit of experience in playing single player. I just, after a while, I get bored. Like, I can't play them that long.
So like you like the single player games, like if you play Call of Duty's campaign, it's only 6 hours long at most. And that's a game that's long enough to hold your attention and you be able to get through it, as opposed to, like, say, The Witcher 3. It takes like 90 hours to beat. You're not going to sit around and play a game for 90 hours.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, even, and I have Call of Duty, and I love playing Call of Duty. But ask me, have I touched that story mode?
No, I mean, I haven't touched it either yet. I will get to it, but did you play Modern Warfare at least?
No. And that's the thing. Like, I just like playing with users. I like that. Maybe that's probably more of it than anything. I like playing with users. I like playing against users. I like competing. I'm a competitive guy. So like, you can still do that on single mode and kind of post your, your high score on whatever it is and see if somebody can beat it. But I like competing live, like right now. Let's get it on, me and you.
No, and that's completely understandable.
The topic that I was getting on was Cyberpunk. It is a single player game right now, but they do have multiplayer in the mix right now. They're going to be coming out with it later next year. And to me, Cyberpunk, I think you might be able to relate to, because it's almost like a futuristic GTA game. That to me is the easiest way of putting it, because it's set in a large city. It does have surrounding areas around the city. You can basically do anything you want in that game. It's so creative. Like, we've touched on Cyberpunk in some of the previous episodes, but you can customize it even as far as how big your dick is and how big, if you like a chick, on how big your tits are and stuff. That's how detailed this game is. So for them to be able to have such a detailed game, but then be able to bring in more users to a game like that, I think it'd be crazy to explore that kind of world with other people.
So hold on real quick.
Yeah.
So one, I can't believe you just said that. Yeah. Two, like take Diablo, for instance, right? I have a buddy of mine that might be watching the stream now, Mo, and a couple other of my friends that played Diablo. And that was something that I never played. I never played Diablo, but I saw everybody playing it, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. And that's probably what's going to end up happening with Cyberpunk. If I see people on it, then I'm going to want to play it, kind of deal. So,
it's the most anticipated game. They announced it like 8 years ago, and it's in production by CD Projekt Red, who created The Witcher 3, which is the game of the generation on the PS4 and Xbox One. By far, it's been the highest rated game. Well, it's been well perceived by everybody.
So if you look at the whole Witcher series, because CD Projekt Red has a good track record for games, they're kind of one of those groundbreaking studios that really tried to push that quality of game. And I think, The Witcher 1 going back is a little bit different from their current formula, but even games like that were amazing. The story is in depth. There's, the side story doesn't just feel like fetch quests, or just a tie over for MMOs, which are go do this, go do that. It's, it feels like you're actually involved in a world that's constantly evolving. And I think Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a great game. I have a lot of faith in CD Projekt Red, and the fact that they've delayed it now 3 or 4 times, I think, I'm actually I'm fine with this. Not once have I said, I'm pissed. Yeah, they should launch it now. I've always believed that this developer, they push back because they want to make sure that the content is good, that the quality of gameplay is there. And I think Cyberpunk 2077, after playing things like The Witcher 3, I think this is probably going to be the game of the year if it drops the way I think it will. It's going to be the best game we have in 2020.
So let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
As far as The Witcher goes,
yeah,
because I saw the movie,
mm-hmm.
and my question is
the TV series, you mean?
Yeah. I'm sorry, the TV series. Does it directly correlate to the game?
Okay, so we'll go a little off topic here, if that's all right with you, Victor. The Witcher is actually a Polish novel, I believe. It's a multi-part novel. The Witcher TV show is the actual content from the books. That's the adaptation of the books. Now, Witcher 1 is the direct sequel to the Witcher content. So after the last Witcher novel, the first Witcher game takes place. So at this point, characters have lived in this world together. So characters who are just coming together in the Witcher TV show for the first time are now well-founded allies or enemies or just acquaintances in general. Things that happen in the books or in the TV show will directly correlate with things that will happen in The Witcher 1, then The Witcher 2, and then The Witcher 3. And you can play any one of the Witcher games without knowing the story beforehand, but you have to accept that times the characters will know things that you will not, and you'll just be privy to what they're explaining to you at this time and place. So you may not know who Triss Merigold is, but you may not know who Yennefer is. But if you've played the other games, you'll get the information. And the original author, for one, says he does not like the game adaptation to his content, but it doesn't adapt. It continues the story.
I actually think that's crucial because, like, for somebody like myself, right, that doesn't play a bunch of those games, if I'm able to jump into the game and still be able to play it without playing the other ones, that matters. Like, that matters a lot. Because if you start playing the game
I haven't been able to
and you're like, I don't know, what's going on, then you kind of lose interest.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. I think playing The Witcher 3 without playing the other Witcher content, you can get away with it just fine. You just have to know the fact that what a Witcher is, which they do explain right away. You have to understand that there is going to be certain characters that you don't know why they're special or who they are, but they'll drop in and you'll just accept who they are and the fact that what they can do. So things may surprise you. Like, you may be like, oh, I wouldn't have imagined they'd be able to do something like that. Well, you can accept that and move on. The game doesn't say, well, you should know this.
Right.
But they will reference previous events and you'll be like, yeah, I know. Yeah. But it won't influence how you take things in the game. Your decisions don't have to be biased by previous information.
Yeah, there you go. So like it enhanced the people that have played it, but doesn't scare away the people that haven't played it.
Correct. And honestly, The Witcher 3 was one of the most solid games I think I've ever played. I believe I've beaten almost every side quest in the original Witcher content. as I was doing the story, and I didn't feel like it was a tedious thing. I actually enjoyed every side quest I played. From learning out about the little boy in the swamp to, slaying these giant monsters hiding in castles, or the unborn baby problem. There's so many good things, and what I really like about the Witcher series is you get to decide, and there are multiple endings. It takes what I like about JRPGs and the idea that your decisions do influence the story, and you decide the ending. Whether you wanted that ending or not, you chose it.
Yeah. Well, there's two games that have actually taken that idea. Call of Duty Black Ops is actually one of them, that your decisions are going to matter, and Cyberpunk is also another one.
Yep.
And it even starts with, from the beginning, of choosing what kind of character you're going to start with.
Yeah.
Whether it's a nomad, the city boy, and like the corporal, I think he is, and you start from different areas of the game, and then by the end of the first mission or something like that, that's where like all three storylines actually come together.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
And things like that is amazing. I think that really builds that really takes what single player games have been missing out in some recent times here. The story should be the first and foremost thing, because I'm a big proponent of books, games, movies. They're all on par with one another with telling a story. And games lately have been kind of missing that. But I didn't even know that Black Ops now allows you to really decide the story. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think with Cold War there's two endings that can happen. I think one's like a bad ending and one's a good ending. So like that's cool, the fact that where like your endings aren't always good either. It's not like a happy ending fairy tale, like, oh cool, we saved the day. No, this one's like, oh man, we made some bad choices. Now we're going to have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah,
what our decisions ended up leading to. So I think that's pretty cool, because then it comes down to a moral aspect. But definitely, Cyberpunk's gonna be a great game coming out for sure.
Yeah,
I like the moral aspect.
We're gonna cover two more games quick, because then we got to move on to topic 3, and then because we got topic 4 as well.
Yep.
But let's move on to 2K. I threw in 2K here just to get some more information out of you, Dre, because this is your realm now. You can tell us about it. I know a little bit about it, but I'm not the best. We were talking about that earlier prior to chat. But what's going on with 2K? You like it? What's going on?
So, I'm gonna try to keep this short because I can get winded sometimes. So I'm gonna try to keep this short. But it's 2K has become. So let me say this: if you're playing on the next gen, it really puts the old gen to shame.
Okay.
And that's not, a slight on anybody that doesn't have it. It's just letting you know that it's way better. Let's just start there. I mean,
the cover on that topic, 2K right now is probably arguably one, if not the only game for next gen that showcases next gen on its like highest next tier level. Assassin's Creed does it a little bit, but not as much as 2K.
Yeah, I mean, they've used that engine, they've used that processor, like they've used everything to their max ability, I would say. There's nothing that I'm playing in the game and I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, well, this should have been like this, or this should have been better. It's everything that they said it was going to be. So that's a big surprise, because usually, when it's hyped up, you can find kind of a piece or two that's like, that's not really what you said. But they really did it to the max. That includes the my career aspect of it, which Roger, that more, that's the individual play. And like I said, I'm such a multiplayer guy that if the story wasn't right, then I wouldn't play it. But there's really good aspects to it. They've added things in it. It's still the same story, but just little decisions that they've added for the next gen have, they've added that to the story. So that's pretty cool. But the map in the park, let's start there. The park has evolved.
Is what they call it now.
Yeah, the city. It's not even a park anymore. The city has evolved this game to a different level, to where you're now setting waypoints like it's GTA. Mm-hmm. And you know, you kind of have to have some type of transportation around there because the map is so big, but it gives you so many things to do. With the last generation in the park, like, you're doing one thing. You're playing a park game. They, you know, last gen for this 2K, for 2K21, for the last gen, they took away the aspect of even traveling to different parks. And when they did that, that was kind of one of the better things about playing 2K and 2K20 was you got to at least travel around and go to a different area. But they took that away for the next gen. I mean, for 2K21, and you kind of just loaded into the park and you played park. But there was no user experience. I think they've really done a great job of enhancing the user experience. And for people like myself, that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. Like, I need stuff to do. And they've really taken that to the next level. And if you want to talk about the gameplay, let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is so much more realistic. They've really took out a lot of extra animations that you couldn't control. There were things that were happening that you had no control over. And I think they've done a really good job of preventing that. So me, I'm a big proponent of no excuses. That's just how I am. Even when it's not video games, in real life, like, I don't buy by excuses. So now when you're talking about a game and you're being competitive, there's a lot of things that used to happen that you would say, oh man, that's 2K. Oh man, that's the game. Well, not anymore. Like, it's more of stick skill. It's skill. And that's what I've been asking for.
More of a skill gap in the 2K where it's not like, let me just click this button and it's going to happen. Like, if you don't master this or master that, like work on the ball handling skills or know your jump shot, you're not going to be good in this game. And
right. And
we're just like, oh, it's the game. No, it's not.
That is one of my biggest pet peeves is, you know, blaming stuff on the game and stuff like that. And back then you could do that. You could do that because they gave you that room because they had a lot of animations that were out of your control. But now that's pretty much out, and you have to be good. You have to know what you're doing. And I really enjoy that aspect because that makes me concentrate more. That makes me play better. And when I do really good, you know, I can go ahead and tap myself on the back because it's like, yeah, like, this game is about skill. It's not about pressing the button and making you do something that the game wants you to do. So that's a big thing. And lastly, I would say they've added so many different aspects to this game. Vic, I don't even know if you've been inside the Gatorade gym to where now I can get 10 of my friends. We don't have to be on the same team or anything like that. I can get 10 of my friends and we can go inside of the Gatorade gym and scrimmage and run against each other and play against each other.
Rent the ball out or something like VC for the ball.
Yeah, you gotta bring a ball with you. And it costs like 20.
If you go into a court, you're gonna need a ball.
Yeah, it's really cool. And if you've been into LA Fitness and played basketball and things like that, that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing because you can't just walk in with the ball and play. You actually have to pay VC to get in. And it costs 20 VC for 30 minutes. It costs 50 VC for an hour. Different things like that. It just correlates more to the actual baller, to the actual people that love
Can I
basketball.
ask about that? What is VC for the viewers who do not know?
So it's currency. It's virtual
Is it
currency.
earned from winning or do you have to buy it?
Both.
Both.
Okay, so you can at least earn the in-game currency. That was my concern because
money if you don't want to, but it's going to take a while to get to those limits. Like 20,000 VC, that's probably going to take you like 20 games to be able to get that.
Okay, well that's not a problem then. But I was just curious because new games like this have been, especially EA games. I assume this is EA.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
this one isn't
This
EA,
one's
but you're on the right track.
yeah.
You're on the right track.
Paywalls are a big
Um,
problem lately, and that's why I was just
2K
curious
does a
because
good
I
job.
don't play sports games personally.
Like 2K does a good job at negating that whole paywall thing, because like you to level up your character, you can put VC on them to buy your attributes, but it caps out at 85 overall. So you
Okay.
can't get like a 99 overall player off rip. Like you get to 85, but from 85 to 99 is all grind. And you
Mhm.
got to actually put in that work if you want to have a good like an actual good player. Because 85 overall, he's okay, but there's not much to him. And then you actually,
I love that aspect. I love that aspect. I don't think you should be able to just buy your player and just become a great player out of nowhere. That's not how it works in real life, and that's not how it should work on the game. Like there are other games maybe for that, but when it comes to competitive sports, I don't agree. That's not how it should work. So I used to. It's funny because I changed my opinion. I used to be a guy who never bought anything. I didn't buy any kind of VC because I took pride in just grinding. I took pride in just, hey, I did it from the bottom. But once you start to play that game and you start to realize, okay, this is not it. Like it just takes entirely too long for you to get to a point where you can play with people and actually do things. So now, like Vic said, I get my man to an 85, and now it's grind time. Now it's, put in that work and things of that nature. So I've definitely evolved to, start from the bottom and getting a nice little head start. It does cost about $50 to do that every year. Every year is $50 to get your man to that point. But it depends on how much you care about it. How much you really want to be good at it. And I'm one of those people that wants to be great. So
no doubt.
Yeah, I get you. But sadly, having paywalls like that, I think, are a big problem with the industry right now. Sad to see another game fall into that trap, but it's nice to see that, the character you play as does matter. That's what you take into multiplayer, It sounded like from the way you're talking about it, the game is more becoming like fighter games in the sense that it is a skill-based game. You learn about how many frames it takes to make a shot, versus how many frames, where things may randomly be added in. So it's good to hear that they at least are tuning up the actual content of the game, but I'm sad to hear that the game is still having a paywall of some sort,
Yeah. Us as 2K players, actually, we complain about that every year, but we do it. You know what I mean?
You're a captive audience who is going to do what they want because it's the only game out there. They have a monopoly on the market, so you're going to do
because EA's game NBA just fails.
That's it right there. Roger just touched on it. That's it. Yeah. We always talk about how it's a monopoly. Madden monopoly, 2K monopoly. That's what it is.
Yeah, there's no competition to drive improving the game. They're like, we can just keep giving them the same game because
look at FIFA. FIFA is literally just the same game every year with a new number.
A competitor with PES, but they just don't have all the copyrights. That's the only difference between them two.
Yeah, I think sports games are in a really bad place right now, especially because you can only have one because it's licensed product.
Right.
Good point.
People don't want to pay for that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we got to move on to the next game here because we still got to get to topic.
Yeah, go for it.
I think 3 and 4. Just let's cover on World of Warcraft real quick. Just give it like a brief touch up.
Okay. Well, to talk quickly about World of Warcraft, it just launched about an hour and 40 minutes ago, and I did partake. I played for about an hour until we started this. I gotta say, this is one of the smoothest World of Warcraft launches I've been a part of. At 6 o'clock, it only took 1 minute for the beginning of the expansion to start. An NPC appeared, you clicked on it, and it just started. There was no issue I had. The only issue I had out of the whole thing was the fact that you had to click on something to teleport to the next part of the game, and that took me all of 15 to 20 seconds to be able to get my click to register because there was
Not much of
that
it.
many people there. But
Yeah.
honestly, I think after pre-patch, my expectations for what I was to expect for this next expansion were pretty negligible. I was like, please, just as long as you don't crash, this is going to be a great expansion. The pre-patch event sucked. It was 2 weeks of almost contentless changes. That it felt like just a reskinned version of something that happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But honestly, this expansion so far has worked great. I've jumped in, been able to go straight into playing, and I felt like, yes, it's an MMO, but being as it may, everyone's trying to do this single player experience on an MMO on launch day at the same time, and I didn't have to deal with many players because they had the game set up in such a way that everyone was broken up and it worked. There was no like
Yeah,
everyone smashing into each other to get things done.
I definitely give Blizzard a shout out for being able to have that good of a server to support millions upon millions of players with new content and people who aren't participating in that new content, and like, just being able to have that, like, because like Destiny or Call of Duty, like when they first come out, them things crash all the time.
All the time,
And
dude.
sometimes like Destiny, you have to wait in queue
Yep.
to get into the server, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
I just want to
And
get.
I've only ever had, and this launch they've adapted a strategy I think a few years back. It's been around for a while now, and it's we update your game, it's already there. We literally just have to go into the server files essentially and just hit a checkbox. There's literally just a trigger in game that says, is it 6 p.m. EST or 3 p.m. PST? It's ready. Go. Just start. And it there was no maintenance window. There was no issues there. At most, I had an issue logging in because the server was so throttled with people hitting it all at once, but there was no queue. There wasn't a queue. I got in and I didn't have to wait in a queue to start. So everyone was on an equal level playing field for world's first if they wanted to try and hit max level.
No,
So
yeah, because
that's I think that's crucial because if I can name somebody that really needs to take notes on that, that would be Rockstar. Their launches every year, every time they come out with a GTA, it literally will take you hours to get online. It will take hours to get online, and it's just like.
And the worst part is their online in general is bad. It's never been good, and it feels like every time I load into it, they have too many servers because I'm in a ghost town every time, and they're like they want to make the map bigger and bigger, but they don't fill it with the people to make it bigger and bigger. I think that's something that WoW has done really well. After losing their player base, they did something called cross realm play, which now certain realms or servers are connected. And as you're walking through the game, you can literally jump from server to server so that more people are together, so that you're not the one guy in this zone. There's at least 5 people within, a 1-minute flight from you. There are people there. The world is thriving, but it's not inundated with people.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think World of Warcraft, it'll be cool to jump back in once I get my computer built. But I think we gotta move.
My son to World of Warcraft. I obviously don't play it that much, but I want to talk about really quick the benefit that I've seen in my son. My son is only 4 years old. He does have a Switch, the portable Switch, and he plays Minecraft, and it's kind of surreal and it's kind of amazing to see a 4-year-old play that game and actually know what he's doing. And to me, it's like building his mental. It's helping him think outside the box sometimes, and actually put things together, put pieces together. And I think anybody that maybe has kids, that might be something that you might want to explore, just for the simple fact of them using their brain, using it and coming up with different things that you didn't even know that your child could do. And it's definitely opened my eyes, and I love watching him do it.
Yeah, no, I think the games themselves are a great gateway for kids to really like. I grew up on video games, and I think honestly, I attest to my critical thinking skills that I have today are a direct result of video games. You know, some video games nowadays do hold your hand, but I think video games on the whole, back when we were younger, they didn't hold your hand all the time, and it made you remember what you were doing. It made you think about what you were doing. You had to solve things. I think it's the same thing as buying cheap plastic toys for your kid that you're going to throw away or donate, or it's going to fill a landfill one day. I think video games are great. I think the communities, if you get the right community or the right game, it's it's a great way to teach kids. Like, kids are learning programming in Minecraft because that's what Redstone is. So I think there's a lot to be said for the value of video games.
No, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
But we're gonna move on to the last gaming topic here. We're gonna touch on cloud gaming real quick, and then we move on to our last topic of the day.
Mhm.
But, with cloud gaming, what are your thoughts on cloud gaming? Is it the future of gaming? Who wants to cover on that first?
All right, so cloud gaming. Um, we live in America and our internet's shit, dude. Like, I think cloud gaming is a fairy tale that people tell their kids to make them ignore the fact that they don't have a gaming PC. I'm just saying, cloud gaming is literally it's a pipe dream. Even Google didn't accomplish it well. The Stadia, I think, is more like is a good dust collector for your house if you need one.
So,
Honestly, that's all it is.
so one of my other questions involving with cloud gaming, I'm gonna ask you the first question to you, Dre. But cloud gaming, is it just an alternative to your gaming experience? So like when you're traveling and you can't take your console or your PC with you, but you're still able to hop on, and maybe when you're playing World of Warcraft, you might be able to do a quest real quick and then keep going about your day. Like what do you think on that aspect?
I mean, I think it is kind of it could be beneficial if you, but it's like Roger said, like if you don't have your it's just a gateway to saying you don't have your own. Like it's decent, and I think if you let's say you go somewhere and you're not at home and you're not by whatever you need to be by, it is a good way, I guess, to still be connected to it in some kind of way. But I mean, really, to be honest, it doesn't really do anything for me. It's not like if it wasn't a thing, I would like it wouldn't be a thing. Like I wouldn't necessarily care about it, to be honest. So I don't really have an in-depth thought on it because it's really not that big of a deal to me. You send things up in the cloud and it's, okay.
We're basically not the market for it, as opposed to say the Japanese market is all about mobile gaming. So being able to play on the cloud.
Well, not just the Japanese market. You're missing the whole Asian market, period.
Yeah, I know, but I remember listening in that Japanese are the leaders in like mobile gaming, and that's how they do most of their gaming is mobile.
Well, China spends the most. Like, mobile gaming has overtaken most other gamings for profitability, and it mostly comes from China. China is the big mobile game hub. That's why many of our games are gearing towards mobile nowadays, is to tap this market that many of them don't have access to. And that's definitely why we see memes nowadays like, do you guys not have phones? If you've seen that Blizzard meme, it's literally, if you're not gonna phone game or mobile game, you're doing something wrong. But honestly, I think it's literally corporate greed trying to access a market that is going to water down and dilute the quality of games. It's really going to harm the quality of games.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think cloud gaming, people are going to have to make games that you can stream. And the problem is, the more we play cloud gaming, look at the work from home dilemma we just encountered with everyone in the United States starting to work from home. Our internet the United States the network itself was near critical mass. It's struggling to keep up. It's fine now, but I think inundating it now with cloud gaming in addition to multiplayer packets, I think I don't see the market flourishing that well.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also relying on another party to be able to host your game. So, Microsoft, Google, they're not infallible. Microsoft went down for almost a day with their cloud email service. Now you're losing all your games for an entire day. It's the same problem I run into as a system administrator. Do I want my stuff in the cloud? Yes, it's cheap. Yes, it's so much cheaper than having a server and having people to work on those servers. But at the same time, I feel the resilience is much better. Yes, we're going to see better technological advances. Google's going to have those 30 series graphics cards. They're going to have these proprietary chips that run better than your gaming rig. But I honestly, in the end, nothing's going to beat the performance, the appeal of having your own computer or your own game console, the ability to just boot it up and there you go. It has so many features. I think cloud gaming is a niche market. I think it will succeed where it needs to, but I don't think it will replace gaming.
No, yeah.
I agree to that. And I just wanted to add in through my, cloud experience. I played a lot of Call of Duty Mobile, right? Like I played a lot of Call of Duty Mobile when I wasn't home. When I was at a job that actually allowed me to do that, like I had the time to do it. If you don't have the time to do it, then it's kind of obsolete. Like you have to have the time. If you're not traveling around, if your job is to travel around, cool. But if your job is like an everyday 9 to 5, you might not have time to sit there and play a mobile game, maybe on their lunch break or something like that. But just from my experience of playing Call of Duty Mobile, it's like you said, you're counting on whoever's the party host to have good connection. Because if not, you're going to be, halting through the whole game and pausing through the whole game. It's just,
yeah.
You said, I agree with what Roger said. I think it's a niche. It's a niche market. It's they're trying to capitalize on it, and that's cool. That's what people are going to do. I don't see it going, as far as a console. No.
Oh yeah. So to put my thoughts into it, I think, like you guys are saying, there's definitely a niche market to it. I think my idea behind it is it's going to be an alternative to when you're traveling or when you don't have access to your console. So
well, then the thing is, from what I can tell, it's a subscription though. So I bought all this stuff on my computer. Now I have to buy an additional Google subscription to play Stadia games or whatever. I
built into your online subscription with like Ultimate Game Pass. For $15 a month, you get all 100 games. You have access to live, and then you also get Microsoft the Cloud xCloud, which is nice. So to me, it's an additional to what I'm doing. So like if like he was saying, playing it at work, if I have downtime, I can play the game at work if I want to. But it does come down to having good internet connection, because I've tested the remote play at work and it don't work there. But I tried it at places where I had connection to Wi-Fi. It works. So it does really come down to that. But no, cloud gaming, it could evolve. There could be that technological advance that sends it skyrocketing, or it could send it into a grave and it gets buried. So I think only time will tell with that. It's a new thing where Stadia was the first ones to basically do it, but Microsoft has it now, Amazon has it now. Like they're slowly coming into their own, but we'll just have to wait and see on how it ends up going.
Yeah, I agree.
But let's get on to our last topic here with COVID-19. COVID-19, as we've already touched on with the whole working from home thing and stuff. How has it affected you, Dre?
Well, for me, it's I don't want to say it's a sensitive subject, but for a lot of people it could be. For me, I've had it's touched home with me. I had it when it first came. Actually, I had it before it was a thing. Like before we knew what it was. I had it late. I had it early February. And that was before it like really came out. And it was one of the worst sicknesses I've ever had, to be honest with you. Like I missed the whole week of work and I felt like I was on my deathbed. Like it was really that bad. But you know, not only that, it's touched my family. It's touched, different people around me and things of that nature. So I think the whole thing with COVID-19, man, it's really allowed you to appreciate the things that you have, man. Appreciate the things that you have and actually value them rather as, just continuing on with life every day. And you really don't take a second to think about that kind of stuff. But now it's just like anything else, right? When they say you lose it, you think about it more. It means more to you now that you don't have it anymore. And unfortunately, COVID has done that to family members. It has done that to family members that, you haven't talked to that much, or family members that you saw maybe a year ago or something like that. Unfortunately for me, that happened to two of my family members. My great grandma just passed away. I want to say last week, just passed away. But she was up there in age, but I didn't get to see her that much. You know what I mean? But for COVID to be the thing that took her away, it's just like, it hits a little bit different. How about that? It hits a little bit different. You're like, well, how come it couldn't be something else? Why'd it have to be COVID and that kind of thing? So, and she was 96. So like she definitely lived a full life, more than a lot of other people get to live, but she could have kept going if it wasn't for that. So, it's just one of those little things where it hits people differently. But at the same time, it's kind of been a positive too, because like I say, you value things a little bit more. I've been home a lot more. I've been able to be around my son a lot more. I've been able to be around my wife a lot more. So, you kind of take it in stride, right? You take it in stride and, do the proper precautions that you need to do, yada, yada. But I think it's worked both ways. And to kind of sum that up, I think it has hurt people, but it also has, brought you back to life a little bit, rather than the things that you can go buy and the things that you can go do. What about the other things, the other aspects of life that actually matter? So I take those things seriously. I used to, but now I take them even more seriously now. So to sum that up, man, it positive and negative, it's done a lot. It's done a lot.
What about you, Roger?
So me personally, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother. I, on the other hand, have been rather lucky. None of my family, if they've had it, no one has passed away from it. Nobody has been officially diagnosed with it, knock on wood. And I hope that it stays that way. But it's really opened my eyes for, I politically view things one way, and my family on the other aspect can at times view things on the complete other aspect. And it really just, COVID has gone to show me, good and bad, what really people are like at the core of things. Society really has showed me is full of greed, and people are a me kind of a kind of world. And I think one of the big things is, I hate to attack the generation before us, but I feel as though, the boomers have really been a generation of me and a generation of just excess. For a generation that followed the greatest generation, I don't believe that they really lived up to what has been asked of them. We see things like there's a famous quote out there that hard times breed good men make good times, good times make bad men make bad times. It's the vicious cycle of society where, we've seen things like, World War II, and we've had the Greatest Generation who defended the world against fascism and created this wonderful world we live in. We live in one of the greatest countries in the world. No matter what we say, America is one of the greatest countries to live in. It is the greatest country in the world to live in. But, people take that for granted, and it allows some terrible things to happen. Mass shootings, the inability to control, these infectious diseases because all people care about is what they view as their freedom. You can't tell them what to do, even if it means somebody else dies. And
the biggest benefits is freedom in this country, and because of that, it leads us to our downfall sometimes.
Yeah, and
that was a great point.
And I think as it scares me as a husband and potentially wanting to be a father one day. What kind of world are we going to leave our kids? And I know, Dre, you as a father, you've said, it's scary, the world you have to raise your kid in when you can't even really control the things around you. Like, look at this current administration, this presidency. I think the handling of something like COVID has been an utter disaster, and I'm going to say it's the Republicans' fault at this point. I'm tired of sugarcoating it. I'm tired of being nice to my friends who are Republican. The party has failed us, and it has failed 250,000 people. 250,000 people have died. And there are states where their rates of diseases far surpass most of the entire country. Look at, I believe it's South Dakota is spiking beyond belief. Indiana, a town of only 3,000. One of my friends, his girlfriend who has now moved in with him, her family, they're one of the few Democrats in the whole area, and the entire town has almost a 75% infected rate, and the town's less than 3,000 people. Out of 3,000 people in that small of a town, almost everyone has COVID. It's gone to show how little the world cares about itself. But I will say this, in the end, I think COVID is the thing that will define and push the future of the world in a certain direction. Our generation, many studies go to show that what we work now, silly hours are worked. People want and desire these things. They care little for the environment. They care little for the world and other people. And I think when push comes to shove, when this is all over, I think the world is going to change. Working from home is going to become a normal for most people. Look at the pollution in California. I believe it's San Francisco had a 20% reduction in the nitrogen levels in the air. You can literally see there are cities that no longer have smog. I believe Chicago, the skies are getting clear. It's insane. How
over in Europe or Asia where they couldn't see the mountains from the city before,
but now they can.
Now they can.
Yeah,
like, even little stuff like that just plays a huge part. The environment,
I don't, by any means, I do not. COVID is not a good thing by any means, but I will go to show it is the thing that is needed to shake society. There's always great tragedy that will shake society and change it. And I think, I hope that the world and America can come out of this stronger than when they began, because I was always scared. Every day I woke up going, well, is this it? Is this where the world is going? But now I feel as though it goes to show, if people will not adapt, we're going to destroy ourselves and the world.
No, yeah, for sure. But I just want to give you my outlook on COVID real quick, and then we can just wrap things up. But I was one of the people who tested positive back in June. I had 2 symptoms: lack of taste and lack of smell. I was lucky to only have those 2. I know people who went through it and it was rough. But I'm not gonna lie, those 2 symptoms was awful because I had no appetite, no energy. Like, I just didn't want to eat or drink anything because it was just, there was no reason to. But to me, other than just living. But I got over it. But both of you guys have a point. It emphasized a lot of good things. it did unfortunately make me go on. I was on furlough for like what was it, like 8 months. I was on furlough, and granted, I wasn't able to do a lot of traveling and stuff like that, but I was able to get out into nature a lot more and do go on bike rides, and I felt like I was more active when this stuff was going on because I was able to. I feel like it's an excuse, not gonna lie. I feel like I had more time as opposed to if I'm working 40 hours a week, do I really want to come home and exercise?
Yeah.
Where like
And
my days consisted of wake up, what do I want to do today? Because I had nothing else to do. All right, well, let me go ride my bike, or let me go for a hike, or let me go just be active a little bit more.
Mhm.
And, I mean, just stuff like that. But like both y'all have touched on, I think that COVID has been probably one of the worst things that we'll probably live through in our generation, in our lifetime. But it also has been probably one of the most beneficial things to life in general. It's going to change the way we work, how we view on things, how we handle things. Like you touched on, yes, the Trump administration has handled this very awfully. Could it have been better? Yeah. Nobody's perfect. I will give anybody the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
in that regards. But it's just like it comes down to not just him because he can say, "Hey, go do this," but you still have those people where you touched on with their freedom thing. You can't make me wear a mask, and then that's where the whole problem is extend from because people don't want to hear what to do.
I want to add this last piece in here too, and it's just because I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like anybody that watches this, if they look like me, it would be a pundit on me to speak on it, and it's my responsibility to do that. And if we look at the numbers of the races, the race that deaths and all of those things, I mean, clearly, more of people that look like me have died by this, and it's just one of those things that we already have a lot going on, right? And now you just add this on. And it's just like a lot of people give up during things like this. A lot of people just lose hope. A lot of people just say, you know what, man, I've already got X, Y, and Z things going against me. Now this, and it's just like, to heck with it. You know what I mean? The hell with it. Like, I think not only that, but with the money that's involved with this. Like, let's I don't like to sugarcoat things, and I don't like to play games. And the real part about this is just like cancer, there's a lot of money being made off of this COVID. There's a lot of money being made off of this. And just as much as, people want to say, "Oh, I can't wait for it to go away," the people that are making money off of this, they don't want it to go anywhere because it's generating millions of dollars.
And that's a problem on our healthcare system, and that's a topic we can definitely that we plan to address sometime here on the Chill Zone. But it just goes to show, and I can say from a position of a good position personally, and I don't take it for granted that I have good healthcare, but not everyone does. I got to choose my own doctor. I pay only a fraction of my paycheck, but many Americans, my wife, for example, I cannot cover with my coverage because her employer offered it. And at her previous employer, they were going to take 50% of her salary for medical coverage. And that's not a deductible either. And the deductibles were insane. So yeah, COVID is luckily for many that COVID is being covered and they don't have to pay for it themselves. But it's insane the extent to which it's happening, because for many people don't believe it's happening. Others, they're not afforded the education to know what's going on, or they're not afforded the education to get jobs that will help support their health. And so, many Americans are already in poor health because we're still one of the only civilized countries in the first world that we don't want to give universal health care. Look at Europe. It works. I've been through universal health care in Europe. And yes, exactly. It's all about the money. And it's not even the people in the medical industry are the top people on, Forbes, the Forbes list of most wealthiest. But there's still, healthcare is an issue in America because nobody wants to pay for anyone else.
No, exactly.
Nobody is willing to help a fellow man. And the burden falls on the poor to do charity because the rich do not want to give their fair share. And the laws are made to fight those who aren't in good standing. And if you have money, your life is secured. My wife, her grandfather was given his essentially, you're only got a few months left to live, and he lived 40 more years. It's money buys your health here, and that's a problem in America because they don't want people to be able to survive here. Only the rich are allowed to survive in America, and it's something that scares me because what is tomorrow going to hold? Is it going to end up in the hands of the people with money first? Luckily, it's first responders are getting the vaccine first. But even the vaccine itself, the contribution, do you know who paid for most of I think it's Pfizer's antidote was mostly paid by Germany. Germany paid for that vaccine. Americans contributed almost nothing in retrospect to the whole thing. And this goes to show that the people in power currently don't care about the people below them.
No, yeah, for sure.
They don't care about their base. They use their base and they let them die.
Yeah, that's one last thing I want to talk about this topic here is the vaccine. What's your thoughts on the vaccine, Jerry? Because I know it'll touch on a different topic given the fact that you have a son.
So I've actually talked about this a couple different times. And I've talked about it with my older family and and my father and things of that nature. And to be frank, I don't want it. And I don't have a problem with anybody saying, you should. I don't have any quarrel with anybody saying, well, these are the benefits to it and things of that nature. But is my mind going to change? Probably not. Just because of the aspect of I don't trust it. I had it myself. I'm fine now. I don't have it anymore. And if we keep doing the things that we're doing, wearing the mask and doing the precautionary things, I don't feel like I need a vaccine to be able to get into your building. I don't feel like I have to come out of pocket to be able to get in your building and things of that nature. I'm strongly opinionated about it to where it's though I don't trust it because I don't know enough about it. And right. That's just the truth of the matter.
I don't want to just because I don't know what's in the vaccine. You could be given something I don't need. And I'm one of the people who don't even get the flu shot because I've got the flu shot one time in my life and I became super sick. And I will never again take any vaccines that I don't need.
That's my whole point, Vic. Like that's my whole point. I don't trust it enough to do it. I don't want it. And like I said, I don't have any problem with anybody that feels the opposite way. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. But for me personally, I just don't trust it. And I would not inject myself with something that I have no clue what's in it. What you're doing, what you're putting into your body. I think that I take that stuff seriously. Like I don't put stuff in my body that I don't know. I'm already not a fan of needles and going to the hospital anyway. So like now you're talking about me getting some vaccine and things of that nature that I don't know about. Honestly, I'm not gonna volunteer to do it. I'm not gonna volunteer to do it.
No, yeah, I agree. What's your thoughts, Roger?
So I'm going to argue against both of you, not to be a devil's advocate, but because I believe you're both wrong. I respect your opinions, but I want to come from a place of intellect on this subject. I agree. There is many problems with America with people putting things in their body that it just shouldn't be there. Look at what's in cigarettes. I agree. Look at what's in all of our food. We've got all these issues with what we're ingesting is killing our body slowly and, essentially mummifying us from the inside. But I do disagree with this fact that the vaccine, I agree that the flu shot is one of those moving targets. It's something that I don't get personally because I've only ever gotten the flu shot and gotten the flu. Like if I get the flu shot, I get the flu. But I will come from another aspect. I've gotten the measles shot, never got measles, and measles is almost eradicated, except for anti-vaxxers now. These are life threatening diseases, and you are very lucky that you survived COVID. Many people do not, and it's going to cause lasting problems that you may not find out for another 10 years. It does cause heart problems. It does cause damage to the body. So I would agree that I'm not going to be the first to take the vaccine. It is in a rush state, and normally vaccines take a lot longer to develop than this one. It is something that does scare me because, am I going to catch it? How I know it's been thoroughly tested and it has a great success rate, but it's still very new. So it does scare me in that aspect. But eventually, I believe that all people should get the vaccine for COVID because just like measles, just like smallpox, these things, polio, these things that we're eradicating are only going to come back if we continue to not prevent them. So I come from a stance that not everyone needs it right away. Herd immunity is not going to work. And I don't want to live my life with a mask, but I will do so until we are at a place where we can all survive. Because there are people out there who can't take vaccines, people with autoimmune diseases, people who can't fight off the disease naturally and will die if they get it. Taking the vaccine is the only way to help your fellow man because we have to be the ones who develop the immunity for the herd for the people who cannot. So I think the vaccine, yes, right now is still in its infantile stages. Early next year, I can see it start coming out more to mass market where everyone can get it. And I believe to rejoin society, people should be required to have it, just like your kids are required to have shots when they go to school. There's a reason for it, and it's to protect against these diseases that are coming back, even though we believed we eradicated it. It's anti-vaxxer movements are a scary thing right now, especially at a time like this, to have anti-vaxxers just to come on the tail of the anti-vaxxer movement only a year or two ago. Mm-hmm. So I think we definitely need to have it, but I understand where people are fearful of it because they don't understand. And I think there can definitely be more information to inform the people who are afraid. There are people out there who believe vaccines cause autism, and there is no correlation to such thing. And all papers written on it are not actually tested scientifically tested. They are somebody posted it, somebody did a study, drew a correlation, and then it didn't hit peer review. So
I just wanted to piggyback on what you said, Roger, because you make really good points. Like you make really, really good points. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate you giving that insight. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate your opinion for sure. And I think like after listening to you, I think maybe I would mm-hmm. be open to it if I saw examples of it working.
Yeah.
If I saw, you know what I mean? Like I have to see, like I would have to see that before I even thought about it.
Yeah. So, you have to see it to believe it. And I completely understand that sentiment because, everyone is afraid of the unknown. The unknown haunts every one of us. But I believe, if people continue to, if we want to function as a society, we're going to need it because if we don't have it, many more lives are going to be at risk. We aren't going to be able to return to being a civilized world without it.
No, yeah.
I want to ask this question, Vic, and like you can respond to it and kind of like spiral into your thoughts.
Mhm.
My question is, would it not work the same way? Because I know a lot of people, myself, a lot of people that look like me kind of think this, because I've had these conversations in the community where it's you're injecting the actual thing in you to not get it. In the simplest of terms. In the simplest of terms.
That
Obviously,
is
Basically,
you
that's
know,
what all vaccines truly are, is to give you
yeah.
it so it can produce the antibodies. Like, I get the basic science behind it, but in the same sense, like Roger was saying, is like getting the whole flu shot. Like, only time he usually gets the flu is if he gets the flu shot, because you just gave me the flu. Like,
Well, yeah. And the issue at hand here that we really need to address is that yes, you're injecting yourself with the disease, but the disease at this point is inactive. It cannot reproduce. The idea is so you can't like a computer, your body is programmed. It has a set of instructions that's called DNA. Without your body being specifically told, your white blood cells being specifically told, hey, this disease exists, here's what it looks like, your body can't build the enzymes needed to break down the disease.
but yeah, going off of that though, is instead of giving me the virus, how about you invest it, like put in the antibodies into me?
You can't. That's the thing. Your body has to produce the antibodies.
They were trying to tell me that I can come back in and they can take blood from me to give it to people so they can have the antibodies.
Yes, and it's a temporary solution to help combat the disease, but you have to have the disease to use the antibodies. Otherwise, your body will not produce the antibodies needed to fight the disease.
Well, in that case, then why would you need the vaccine to prevent it if I can just get the antibodies once I do have it?
Well, then you're risking exposure to the disease, and now you've got it, and you have to cure it. Instead of curing it, you prevent it. The idea is, why walk into the dark when you can take a candle with you instead? You know, maybe there's some kids' toys. Maybe there's some Legos on the floor that I'm going to stab through my foot. Why take the risk? Just take the candle. Just take a flashlight. That's the idea with this. It's preventative, not reactive, and that's like in cybersecurity where I work. You know, we fight on preventative measures, not reactive measures, because once you've caught it, it's harder to fix what happens.
Yeah. I'm just going to leave it with my last thought here, and then we can close out because we were running too long. But with the whole COVID thing and the vaccine, I think we can all agree, maybe once there's more time, more studies, and more proven factual that this stuff is guaranteed to work, and they list what's in this thing, then I'll get it. But like we're all agreeing here, I'm not going to be the first one. I'm probably going to be one of the last people to get it. I'm going to hold off as long as I can, because all you have to do to prevent this shit is just do the right thing that you should have been doing before COVID came out anyway. But that was the thing where this COVID thing taught us a lesson. Hey, we need to hygiene, clean yourself, wash your hands.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also the 6-foot rule that's really doing it. It's the social distancing, because it spreads through airborne. It only takes one person to spread it. And until we develop herd immunity, it only takes one person. Look at New Zealand. They completely eliminated it, and they have it again. It's because it only takes one person, and then everyone can get it again. So my closing thoughts on the whole thing is, yes, I agree that I'm not going to be the first one to get the vaccine, but I don't believe I'll be privy to be the first person to get the vaccine. But
knowledge on it,
you know, and I'm worried that, oh no, I caught COVID. But on the flip side, even if you had COVID once, you can catch it again. Right. That's the problem. There are already people out there who've caught it twice. You know, they've got it once and they're like, I feel great. Why am I coughing? Why am I unable to breathe again? I caught it again. That's the issue. If it was once and done like chicken pox, it would be one thing, you know, but it's not. I
actually was lucky to skip over chicken pox, but I ended up getting shingles, which comes after you have chicken pox, but I skipped chicken pox and got shingles as a kid, as a baby. So I was lucky in a sense, but in the same sense, like,
well, at least it happened when you were an infant, not when you're an adult and remember it, because it's terrible.
Yeah. For my closing, that I just piggyback off you guys. I'm definitely not going to be the first one. And, I know there are a lot of people that there are a lot of people in my community that just have this way of thinking that is, if I don't see it, it
doesn't exist.
That is just
the trust factor that's been broken many of times.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, for sure. But no, yeah, we covered on a lot of topics today, a lot of great, good topics and whatnot. What are y'all working on, Dre? What are you working on? You working on anything? What are you playing right now?
Well, yeah, actually, me and Josh, I don't know if he's watching this, but we're getting ready to start a sports podcast ourselves. So that's something that we're building up to. I know I tell you every Sunday that we talk, I call into my local radio show every Sunday.
Exactly.
And give my piece. And that's only to build my name. That's only for people to kind of recognize when you hear me talk. And I'm passionate about it. And it definitely comes off that way. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want. I want people to understand how passionate I am about it and how much I care about it. So I'm just taking little building blocks right now and just getting the experience of being live on the air in front of millions of people and doing something like this, or being a guest.
Kind of experience too,
yeah. Being a guest on a podcast and being live and things like that. So I appreciate you guys for having me on, because it's definitely just helping me prepare for the next step that I'm getting ready to take as far as the social media podcast aspect.
No, yeah, for sure.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah, but you're going to have to get me on there as a special guest, though. I can throw in my sports.
For sure, man.
Are you playing any games specifically right now? Is it just 2K or what's up?
You know me, man. It's just 2K right now. The game's too fresh for me to play something else.
We've been on duty a little bit, but
like and you see, since I got the next gen, that's dropped off tremendously. Like just because that's where my heart is. That's where my heart is. My heart is, I'm a baller. Like I do it in real life. That's just, it connects with me. That's who I am. It'll always be there. So it's just one of those things where that's definitely where my focus is. And once I'm done, once I get my man to where I want him, then I'll probably start, playing other games and things of that nature. But right now, it's the race to 99, man.
No doubt. Well, where can we find you at? Social media, Xbox, what's up?
So Xbox, you can find me at ill space. So that would be ILL space ganja smoke, but at the end of my E, it's a 3. But that would be the only difference. And then on Instagram, you can find me at Coach Dre. And instead of the O, it's a 0. But and to that point, I do coach a lot of kids in basketball. I train a lot of kids individually. So that's why my Instagram name is what it is.
Oh, yeah, that's what's up. And then once you get your podcast up and running, we'll get you a shout out here on the Chill Zone for sure. But
appreciate it. I'll do this. I'll return the favor.
Oh yeah, you already know. What about you, Roger? You working on anything?
So Shadowlands just dropped, and I'm working with much of my friends so that we can start doing endgame content as soon as it drops. First drop is in 2 weeks, so we're hoping to be prepared. Hopefully have a 10-man group to be able to play through the endgame content. Other than that, played some games during my long weekend I have here. I have a 10-day break from work, which is nice, and I got to beat Warhammer Mechanicus, and I started playing the new Hyrule Warriors game.
Okay, that's good. Can we find you on any social media or?
Don't really use social media, but you can check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion, spelled with an A.
Gotcha. Cool. That's what's up. Definitely got to check it out, as we're also streaming our podcast on your Twitch channel right now too. So make sure to anybody who is watching us on YouTube, if you want to catch it live, it will be on his Twitch channel every week. But as for myself, just been working nonstop, but with the whole gaming stuff, I'm trying to balance between gaming. I'm just an all around gamer. I play 2K. I'm trying to get my grind on too, but I also play a lot of Call of Duty. I've been a huge Call of Duty player since like '07 or whatever it's been. But then I'm also trying to get in my Assassin's Creed time and Watch Dogs time because I write up my game reviews and stuff. So I'm trying to get through those. It's going to be a while before I get either of those game reviews up, but I do got a couple of them that I'm about to put up here in the next couple of days. So definitely be sure to check those out. I'll have the links and stuff in the bio. But just a reminder to everybody, this is primarily a gaming podcast, but we do cover at least one topic that's non-gaming. So we definitely get a wide spectrum, different point of views, as you can see with the whole COVID vaccine outlook. Like, it's okay to have different points. There's nothing wrong with that. We just want to give you a shout out. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. If you can share these episodes as much as possible, so we can get some more viewers and whatnot. So, and like I said, we do plan to release weekly episodes now that we're establishing a go-to channel. But I want to say thank you again for all the support, and until next time, peace.
Have a good one.